Yo, what is good everyone? Happy Friday, and welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be breaking down some of my favorite cash game plays for this Week 9 NFL DraftKings main slate, and like I always do, I'm going to go position by position, talking about each cash game play that sticks out to me. With that being said, let's dive into my spreadsheet here. And we're going to kick things off here like we always do in the top left-hand corner with those highest implied game totals. We got 3 of these games who are very close to that 50-point mark, so definitely some shootout potential there, as well as a handful of other games that have some high scoring upside. I also got the highest implied team totals listed behind me, and you can always use that as a reference point as I'm going through some of my favorite cash game plays. With that being said, we're going to kick things off here with the quarterbacks, and my guy Josh Allen is back on the main slate, so I'm going to keep it simple at the quarterback position. I'm either spending up for Josh Allen or paying down for one of Justin Fields and or Trevor Lawrence, who are very similar in price at $5,300 and $5,200. But yeah, if I got the money laying around, I want to get up to Josh Allen if at all possible. We kind of saw his floor game last week against the Green Bay Packers when he put up 19.5 DraftKings points. His next worst game was back in Week 4 against the Baltimore Ravens when he put up 24.5 DraftKings points. And in every other game outside of that, he's hit 30 plus. Now, this New York Jets defense has been legit this year, but Josh Allen can carve up anybody. Plus, you get that safe floor with his rushing upside and a high ceiling, as he is one of the best quarterbacks in the NFL and has a terrific arm. So, yeah, just like I've talked about all year long, if I can pay up for Josh Allen, I want to try and get there in my cash lineup. Now, I have also done some cash builds around Justin Fields here as well. I do prefer him over Trevor Lawrence. Not that Trevor Lawrence is a bad play by any means. I just prefer putting Travis Etienne in my cash lineup as well. And while he has that pass catching upside, and you could correlate that with Trevor Lawrence, that's more of a tournament play for me. And Justin Fields here has actually been very serviceable over his past 4 games. And in his last 2 games here, where he's played his best games of the season, they were against pretty good defenses in the New England Patriots and the Dallas Cowboys, who both rank in the top 8 in defensive DVOA this year. If we take a look back here at his past 4 weeks, he's hit 17 points against Minnesota, 19 against Washington, 24 against New England, and then just last week he had a season-high 26 DraftKings points against a very legit Cowboys defense. Now, his rushing upside has pretty much remained the same this year. He's had 7+ rushing attempts in every single game. Where we've really seen him improve is in the passing game. And again, that's been over the last 4 weeks here. Not a huge sample size by any means, but if you look at the notes off to the right-hand side, he's got a good matchup here this week against this Miami defense, who have played significantly worse than the Cowboys and Patriots defenses, who he kind of tore up a little bit. Miami ranks 25th overall in total defensive DVOA, and have been even worse against the pass, ranking 29th overall in pass DVOA. Now, moving over here to the running backs, and I'm not really in love with the value at the running back position this week. Yeah, Deion Jackson's in the low 5K range, but not really thrilled about that. You know, Jonathan Taylor banged up, not going to play here on Sunday, but it really hasn't been all that great this year. Don't know if I can trust that Colts team in general. So I'll likely be spending above 6K at the running back position this week. If I'm going to spend up for one guy, I really like Austin Eckler, but I wouldn't be afraid to pivot to Aaron Jones either, who's in a smash matchup against the Detroit Lions. But it's just hard to ignore the target share that Austin Eckler's getting in this LAC offense. He's seen a 21% target share on the year. That's fantastic. He's essentially a wide receiver who gets rushing attempts and gets rushing attempts in the red zone and goal line at that. But in just his past 2 games here, he's seen a total of 28 targets, 12 and 16. Now, that is likely unsustainable going forward, but we're not going to have Mike Williams this week. Keenan Allen is questionable, and even if he returns, he's likely going to be limited. That leaves Joshua Palmer as wide receiver number 1. And don't get me wrong, I like him in my cash lineup, but that 21% target share, we should see that again here this week for Eckler, in a good matchup against the Atlanta Falcons, who rank 26th overall in rush DVOA. Now, I name-dropped Travis Etienne when I was talking about the quarterbacks. Really like him at this price here at $6,300. He's really been a true bell cow running back here over the past 2 games, playing 80% of the offensive snaps, averaging 21 touches per game, and averaging a total of 140 yards per game. Again, those numbers probably not sustainable in each and every game going forward, but the touches are definitely there, as well as the talent and upside. We've seen that here over the past two. And he's got a great matchup here against the, I almost said Oakland Raiders, the Las Vegas Raiders, who cannot stop pass-catching running backs this year, ranking 31st overall in DVOA. And then I got Ramondre Stevenson there of the New England Patriots. And yes, Damian Harris is back, but I'm not really too concerned about that. He was back last week, and we saw Ramondre have 23 total touches in that game for 143 total yards, saw 7 targets, saw 8 targets the week before that. He's truly playing phenomenal right now, and he's got a good matchup here against the Colts. Now, don't get me wrong. The Colts have been good at stopping the run this year, but just like the Raiders defense, they cannot stop running backs who can catch the ball. That's exactly what Ramondre Stevenson does. Plus, when he does have the ball in his hand, he is absolutely fantastic at breaking tackles and great after the catch, or just great after the run. So at $6,200 here, I think some people might be scared off of that because of Damian Harris. I'm not one of those people. Now, folks, before we dive into the wide receivers here, if you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Now, they don't call him the freak for nothing. Tyreek Hill is one of the most explosive wide receivers in the NFL, if not the most explosive. Now, I don't think anybody saw this type of season coming for him, playing with the Miami Dolphins and with Tua for that matter, but he has been absolutely phenomenal, seeing a 33.5% target share in this offense, including 12+ targets in 6 of 8 games, and he's got a good matchup here this week against the Chicago Bears, who are in full tank mode at this point, trading away what seems like every good player. Well, they did bring in Chase Claypool, and okay, Justin Fields has been playing better, but got rid of Roquan Smith, their best defensive player. Needless to say, Tyreek Hill should eat against these quarterbacks like he's pretty much done all year long. Next, there is DeAndre Hopkins of the Arizona Cardinals. It didn't take him long at all to get back to his old form, one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. Actually, since returning in Week 7, Hop is first in target share at 37.5%, first in target rate per route run at 37%, and first in air yards as well at 57.2%. Again, a number that's likely unsustainable going forward, but needless to say, Kyler Murray is throwing the ball D-Hop's way as much as possible. And then I got Joshua Palmer there of the Los Angeles Chargers. Yeah, I kind of name dropped him earlier when I was talking about Austin Eckler. Look, I would play both Austin Eckler and Joshua Palmer in the same cash lineup. I don't think we necessarily need to do that. I'm fine with picking one or the other, but Joshua Palmer here will essentially be wide receiver number 1 this week for the Chargers. Assuming Keenan Allen doesn't play, and even if Keenan Allen comes back, I don't think he's going to be healthy enough to play a full set of snaps, whereas Joshua Palmer should, and he's sitting at a really good price tag here at $5,100. We need about 15.3 DraftKings points in order for him to meet 3x value. I by all means think he can get there, especially in this matchup against the Atlanta Falcons, who rank 30th overall in pass DVOA. And then I got a couple of honorable mentions there as well. Chris Godwin of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers has seen double-digit targets in 3 straight games. Although he hasn't shown tremendous upside this year, we know that he's talented enough to get you 3x value, that's for sure. Could even get you 5x value at this price. 30 DraftKings points is not out of the question. Now, I'm not banking on that, everyone. Relax. But I do like the matchup here against the Los Angeles Rams, who haven't been the best at stopping slot wide receivers this year, and that's primarily where Chris Godwin plays. And then I got DJ Moore back on the cash spreadsheet this week. I highlighted him last week. I told you I really wasn't super comfortable with the play. Well, it turns out he had his best game of the season, put up 30 DraftKings points in that game, and now it's back-to-back weeks with PJ Walker, where he has been very cash game viable. 2 weeks ago against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, put up 19.6 DraftKings points, and again, last week, 30 DraftKings points. So at 5.8K here, we need what? About 18 DraftKings points in order for him to meet value? He's shown that here in the last 2 weeks, and I like that the target share has been there with PJ Walker. DJ Moore has now seen 10 and 11 targets in his past 2 games. And then I got one tight end that I want to highlight here this week because every cash game build that I put up so far, it has Evan Ingram in it. He's the best value play here at the tight end position this week at $3,300, and I truly believe he is too cheap, about $1,000 too cheap. Since week 5, he's seen a 22% target share in this offense, averaging around 5 receptions per game and close to 60 receiving yards per game. Now, I know those are averages and it's a small sample size, but that's 11 DraftKings points on average. So I don't mind him at all at this price here, $3,300. Now, if we go down to the honorable mentions, just like Joshua Palmer, just like Austin Eckler, great matchup against the Atlanta Falcons. If we don't have Keenan Allen this week, I do like Everett even more. Even if he plays, I think Everett is a fine play, but at $4,800, I downgrade it just a little bit if Keenan Allen is in play. Kyle Pitts, we're starting to finally see some life out of him. Don't mind him at $4,500, but probably more of a tournament play for me. And then Robert Tonyan there of the Green Bay Packers. Again, a great matchup against the Detroit Lions and a very solid price tag of $3,800. And I'm going to keep it simple here with the defense as well. Just going to highlight the Seattle Seahawks. Now, I understand if you're playing D-Hop, there's a little negative correlation there. So if you're not comfortable with that, you could go to the Carolina Panthers, playing the Cincinnati Bengals, who didn't look like the same offense last week without Jamar Chase, and they're very cheap there at $2,300. But this Seahawks defense has actually been legit here over the past 3 weeks. Their rookies are really starting to figure it out and just kind of look like a completely different defense compared to early in the season. Now, if we look back here since week 6, they've allowed 9, 13, and 21 points to their opponents, but what's even more impressive is during that 3-game stretch, they've racked up 14 sacks and 6 total turnovers. Not bad at all for a defense priced at $2,500. And as always, going to wrap up this video here with a low-priced option or sub-4K wide receiver play. We're going to go with Terrace Marshall Jr. this week of the Carolina Panthers. Since the departure of Robbie Anderson and Christian McCaffrey, Terrace Marshall didn't have a choice but to step in as wide receiver number 2 in this offense behind DJ Moore. And he's actually played pretty well over the past couple of games. Not fantastic by any means, but he's accounted for about a 21% target share and around 25% of the team's air yards. And just last week, he's actually coming off a career high in targets where he saw 9 and receiving yards where he had 87. I don't feel the need to pay down below 4K in my cash lineup this week. There's enough value out there, but I thought he was worth mentioning as someone who is a low-priced option. All right, everyone, that is going to wrap up this video here for today. As always, thank y'all for taking the time out of your day to watch the content here on this channel. If you could like this video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate that. Let's have ourselves a great weekend here, folks. Let's win some money here on this Week 9 main slate. In the meantime, I'm out of here.